So, the tragedy in Orlando, the worst terrorist attack on American soil since 9/11. This is a sad day. Really is just beyond tragic. I just can't believe that this still happens in this country with all that we know about the world around us and the people in this world who hate us and want to kill us. It's just unfathomable that we still let them in here, knowing that this is going to happen. We have politicians that want to shame us for even thinking the thought of wanting to keep radicals out and keeping out people who may not fit in here. And it's no shame to speak this publicly and to say that there is a radical element within the Islamic community. There is a very large portion of that community that is radical or sympathetic to radicalism. And Islamic culture really is just not compatible with Western culture and Western values. If there was a compatibility between the two, there would be people from the West moving to the Middle East. But you don't see that. You'll never see Westerners moving to the Middle East. You won't see churches erected in the Middle East, even though Christianity was founded in the Middle East. They'll do everything they can to tear down any of the oldest churches in the world in some of the areas where they still exist, like Egypt and Syria. There's no reason for us to be taking thousands and thousands of these Islamic Syrian refugees when their own brethren in the Middle East won't take them. Saudi Arabia has plenty of room and plenty of money, won't take refugees, but they will spend money to resettle them here because that fits their plan. Really, we have to put a stop to this because this should never happen here again. Never, never again should even one American die in the name of Allah. If one person dies at the hand of some Islamic extremist chanting Allahu Akbar, it is one too many, and we have to stop it. It can't be allowed anymore. For all those people who are going to say you're vilifying an entire people and an entire culture, an entire religion, show me where people within the Islamic community stand up to the radical elements in their midst. They don't. And until they fix what's wrong on their side of the road, they shouldn't be coming over to our side of the road. Sorry, that's just plain simple facts and common sense. We have a president who still can't utter the words Islamic fundamentalist, extremist, jihadist. Every time something like this happens, he shames us. We shouldn't be pointing a finger at all of Islam. He thinks that this is a uniquely American problem because there are guns here, as if there were no guns in the Middle East, and as if they don't kill each other by the thousands over there. Think mass killings don't happen in Syria, in Iraq? Take a look at what ISIS has done to those two countries. You think they haven't clear-cut and murdered by the thousands, the tens of thousands, those who don't fit in with their view of the world? Of course, there's mass murder in other countries besides the U.S. It's preposterous to think that this is a uniquely American phenomenon. It happens in other parts of the world. And to think that they're going to try to fix this by taking away your rights to a firearm, by trying to strengthen the gun laws so that you can't get one or that it's really hard for you to get one, that's just insane. Look at what happened in this nightclub. 50 people killed, 53 injured. That's 103 people shot by one person with a gun. Nobody in that room had a gun to shoot back at him. There was an off-duty police officer who shot at him. This is after he killed who knows how many people. But Do you think maybe if there were just a few people that were packing heat in a place like that, that 103 people wouldn't have gotten shot? Of course not. Just like in France, at that concert hall, it was like a turkey shoot. This concept of gun-free zones, it attracts maniacs. A gun-free zone attracts maniacs like chum attracts shark. You can't keep them away by posting a sign that says gun-free zone. You think that some crackpot who's got a gun and a screw loose is going to read that sign and go, oh, I better walk away. I might get in trouble here? What's going to stop them is an armed populace. True. If it were easier for people to get guns and you walked into a crowded place and you would have to think the probability that 20 or 30% of the people in this room have got a gun that you don't know about, you're going to really think hard before making trouble in that public place. That's what's going to really protect the population, is not restricting gun ownership, but making it easier for good and decent, law-abiding, upstanding Americans to arm themselves. Now, I don't own a gun. I've never owned one. I've been thinking lately maybe it's time I should get one. Although I live in New York, one of the hardest places in the country to buy a gun. You wouldn't think we had a First Amendment here in this state. I did some reading on what you got to do to get a gun, and you practically got to give them your left nut before they'll even consider letting you own a gun in this state. But with the way things are going, it's just getting worse. And believe me, bad guys, criminals, terrorists, drug dealers, they will always find a way to get guns. There will never be a shortage of guns in the hands of bad people. Only a shortage of guns in the hands of good people who have a right to them. Donald Trump had been criticized for saying, I told you so. They just jumped right on it. The news media jumped right on it. He's congratulating himself, patting himself on the back. He's stating the obvious. He's been telling us for a long time that this was going to happen. And it did. And it's going to happen again because we have them in our midst. Who knows how many crackpot, insane Islamic wackos are living amongst us right now. And they don't have to be card-carrying members of ISIS. They don't have to go to the Middle East and get training and receive their instructions before carrying out an attack here. They just have to be motivated. They just have to be a fucking mental case who goes on these jihadist websites and gets inspired. And they chant Allahu Akbar and they claim their allegiance to ISIS like this guy did. This has got to come to an end. And I really don't want to see Donald Trump elected using stuff like this as political fodder. But one way or another, we have to get him elected because this is all happening because of the president that we've got. Obama has done nothing in 2 terms. Things have gotten increasingly worse under his watch. And you could be sure it's going to get even worse with Hillary as our president. She just for the first time this week finally has uttered the words Islamic extremist. And this is under extreme pressure because she knows that when an attack like this happens on American soil, people start to look at Trump and say, you know what? This guy was telling us the truth from the beginning. And she knows that. So now she's playing a game of catch up. So before you criticize Trump for saying, I told you so, take a good look at why Hillary Clinton finally said Islamic extremist.